I am Chef Johnny, your ultimate beef-loving Texan, and today we're talking brisket. Folks, I've got a beautifully cooked brisket, one that'll drape across your finger. That is a well-cooked brisket, so stick around and let me show you, Chef Johnny, the ultimate beef-loving Texan, how to cook a brisket. Well, it is the night before. I've got a really beautiful brisket here. This is a nice choice brisket. It's got some nice fat through it, so it looks really good. I'm not gonna take off a ton of fat off this. I'm gonna take some of the big fat off. Of course, I think everybody knows it's that 1/4 inch thickness over the flats, what we're looking for. We'll clean the top up a little bit, but I'm just not gonna take a lot off. I don't do that when I'm cooking brisket for the family. But let's flip this over and look at this other side. This big chunk of fat here needs to come off, so we're gonna take it off. And see this chunk of meat here? That's just gonna burn anyway, so I'm gonna come in here and take it off. We'll save this. Works great for sausage. Grind it up for hamburger later on maybe. We'll get that off along with some of this fat, and we'll just throw it in the freezer and save it for later. But we're gonna take the big chunks off. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on this, like I said. I just want the big fat off. There you go, got to my meat, so I kind of know where it's at now. Now, let's work on this right here. Take that down a little bit. That 1/4 inch is kind of the area that we all look for. Take off just a little bit more on this end. This is a nice brisket. What I look for in a brisket is one that's as flat as I can get it. So not too fat here, not too flat here. And it'll help it cook a little more evenly if you do that. I like that pretty good. Now, on this side, one thing you always want to take off is this hard. That's not going to render out, so always cut it off. Now for this top side, and folks, I cook mine fat side down. I know my daddy would roll in his grave if he knew I was cooking briskets fat side down, but that's how I found I like them. Your best bark is always going to be on the top. If your fat's on the top, then your best bark's on the fat, and you're going to wind up scraping that off anyway. So I just, a few years ago, I started testing to see what did better. And folks, I've cooked literally hundreds of briskets, maybe not thousands, but could be over 1,000. I can tell you that. I've cooked a whole lot of brisket in my life. So here, some of this silver skin, get it off. And this flat, if you look at it, that flat's pretty thick. That's gonna cook up good. This is a bigger brisket. That's kind of the way it works. And I'll tell you this, you could spend a lot of time trimming a brisket. But a lot of this is gonna render out anyways. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do any more. You can see this brisket, it's fat side up. That's why I do the fat side first, because this is gonna be the sides that down. Now what I'm seasoning this with today is what my mixture is. I use it when I'm catering or cooking for a crowd, and it's a 4-2-1 mixture. It is 4 parts seasoning salt, 2 parts coarse pepper, 1 part garlic, granulated garlic. It's a big piece of meat. It will hold a lot. If you want to use a binder, that's perfectly fine. I usually don't. I'm not going to rub it, even though we call this a rub. I will press it in some, and I will hold it up just to get the ends, right? And remember, this is going to give your smoke something to hold on to. We're going to put it in the refrigerator, let it sit for a few hours, and I'm going to put this brisket on probably about 3 o'clock in the morning. Get my fire about 2. So once I finish this, it's going in the fridge, it's sweating out, and I'm going to see y'all again about 2 o'clock. Let's get this top now. And I just want a nice even coat on the top. Again, this is going to be our top side. This is what's going to look pretty for us, so we leave it till last. And some people, you know, they go 50-50 salt and pepper. I found that much pepper is tough on some people's palates. They don't like that much pepper on there, so I go less pepper, and I use seasoning salt instead of straight salt. There we have it. This brisket is ready to go on the pit. We're just gonna let it sweat out a little bit, sit a little while. About 2 o'clock, I'm gonna get up, put it on the fire. I'll be back with y'all at 2 to start the fire. It is 2 o'clock, so we're out here and we're fixing to get this fire going. Gonna try to show you in my firebox, kind of dark in there, but I have some mesquite and some oak set up. I usually cook 70-30, 60-40 oak to mesquite. This mesquite burns hotter, so I've got it on the bottom with a couple of pieces of oak on top. Once it gets burning good, I'll add some more oak to it. But I like that oak for my coal bed, but I love that flavor that mesquite adds to this meat. Start this up, and we're gonna light our fire. There is some charcoal in here from last time, just leftover coals. That's gonna light pretty easy, so that helps us a lot in this getting it going. So if you don't have leftover coals, just put some charcoal briquettes in there and help them light up to get your fire going. It is just almost 3 a.m. So we're gonna get this brisket on, pull the top shelf out just so y'all could see it better. So we're going on what would be the bottom shelf, right in the middle. And always remember, scrunch it up. That looks good. Close it back up. I'm gonna keep this going about 275. And remember, we're not looking at it. If you're looking, you're not cooking. So this is probably gonna go about 3 hours without a look. We'll open it up, we'll spritz it with just some water, just to keep that bark nice and moist, help that smoke stick to it. And we're gonna go up to that 165, maybe 175 before we wrap it up in butcher paper. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna get it to where it looks right. I don't cook to temperature, I cook to how it looks. When it looks right, I'll wrap it. So we're gonna see y'all back in about 3 hours and give this a little spritz. Well, good morning. It is time to spritz this brisket. Have not looked at it in a really long time, so let's open it up. And I'll tell you what, it is starting to look pretty. A little moisture on it. Close it back up. Maybe in about an hour, I'll turn it end for end. It's starting to look pretty good. Not ready to wrap yet. It still needs a little more time, but it is looking pretty. The smoke is sticking to it. It's plumping up really nice. This is gonna be a fantastic brisket, so stick around. Let's see how this thing turns out. We're about 7.5 hours in on this cook. It's time to wrap this brisket. I just spritzed it, like the way it looks, so we're gonna get it off and we are going to wrap it up in some butcher paper. I use butcher paper and foil both, so y'all just use the one you like. A lot of people tell you get a soft, mushy bark with foil, but I'll tell you this. If you save some time at the end of your cook, unwrap it and leave it on there, it'll dry that bark out and solve that problem. And that works good. Butcher paper works good. You're behind schedule, get out that foil, right? Butcher paper will cause it to cook a little faster also, but not as much as foil will. And foil is going to give you a lot of moisture. So, insulated gloves, let's get it open. Just look at that brisket. Man, look at that. That is beautiful. Get it on there. Meet me over in the outdoor kitchen and I'll show you how I wrap this. I sprayed this butcher paper down with water with my spritzer before I went to get the brisket, but it's kind of dry. But what that'll do is it'll soften up your paper. It'll help you fold it a lot better. So it's not so hard to do, but just. So I'm gonna get my brisket, set it on here. We've got a lot of nice bark. It's darker than you may be used to, but remember, I grew up cooking briskets all the way through with no wrap at all. So I am used to a black brisket. Not everybody is. But we're gonna fold this up. a really big brisket, so I doubled up my paper so I'd make sure it folded all the way. Fold this front side over. Now what I'll do is turn it this way, tuck it good, fold it, get a good tuck, everything's tight, roll it again. Now you could cut that off or just lift it up and fold it under. That's what I usually do, is I pick it up, fold it. Now we can put this back on the pit. If you're a little behind time, this is the time to raise that temperature up. So we had it at 275. I'm gonna bump it up to about 300, let it finish. This will protect it, hold in the moisture, and it's gonna cook up really nice, but it'll pick up our speed a little bit by raising that temperature some, but our wrap is going to protect it. So let's get it back on that barbecue pit, and we're gonna see y'all, I'd say about 4 more hours, we'll have this cooked. I came out here a while ago, slipped in a wireless thermometer. It's saying it's 200 degrees in that brisket, so I'm gonna get it out, wrap it in a towel, put it in an ice chest. It's gonna stay in there for a few hours till I get ready to slice it. So let's get it out. There we go. Pack that away in our ice chest and it'll be fantastic this evening. Well, it's about 15 hours since we put this brisket on and it's ready to slice. We went right around 12 hours on cook time. About 4 hours of that was wrapped. And then of course we wrapped it up. We left it wrapped in the butcher paper, put it in a towel, put it in the ice chest and let it sit for about 3 hours. I pulled it out almost an hour ago to let it start cooling down. I like to slice a brisket in that 150, maybe 160 degree range when I'm serving it to the family. So don't want it real hot when we slice into it. And this has had time to cool down a little bit. Should not be real hot, just nice and warm. But we're gonna cut through here. And remember, we always have the grains of the meat. They're going this way on a brisket. So we're gonna go across them right here, slice into it, let you look and see what you think about this brisket. Let's pull it open and take a look up close. That is a nice looking brisket. And one thing is, when you slice a brisket, oxidation starts, it's gonna start browning up on you. So if you're gonna slice one side, not the other, you can always take it, stand it up on end. That'll keep that end looking pretty. Little tip and trick there for you. But let's come in here and slice this off a piece and see how tender it is. I'm gonna come in right about there, slice into this. That is pretty. Let's pick it up. There you go. That's a nice cooked brisket. Would you look at that? Pulls apart easy. Look here. Man, it's moist, it's tender. Sliced off this other side a little bit. Folks, there's nothing wrong with this brisket at all. It's moist, it's tender. You don't need anything else to cook a great brisket except for some sweet smoke. I like using oak and mesquite. You use your favorite wood, use your favorite rub, or try mine, 4-2-1 seasoning, salt, pepper, and granulated garlic. But another great cook brought to you by the Texas Beef Council. I am Chef Johnny. Appreciate you stopping by. Remember to go to beeflovingtexas.com for all of your beef needs. A lot of great recipes and a lot of information there about serving beef to your friends and your family. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this brisket cook, and we're gonna see y'all down the road. So long, everybody.